Good morning, here is Kramer's Corner with the daily technical update. It is Wednesday the 9th of August and we'll start with the S&P 500 more or less as usual. It bounced off the lower rising trend line here yesterday, found a little bit of it during the late session, but we still closed a little bit lower than the previous day. We are in a correction phase. And key support 44.55 is the one to observe. It's not the strongest one, especially if we close it below the rising trend line, and then I think we will see a break of 44.55. We are trading a little bit higher in the pre-session, but that's not really much to write about. It can easily change. Also, Nasdaq lower, below the support here. We are in a correction phase, a little bit short-term downtrend. I think we can test the 15,000, possibly dip down to around the 14,750 here in a couple of weeks' time. August, I believe, will be quite weak on the U.S. market in general. On the Europe markets, DAX actually dipped down very close to the 786 retracement at 15,685. We are in a downtrend. Actually, as you can see here from the RSI down there, 39.01. We are below the 40 threshold on the RSI, meaning we are technically in a downtrend, but it's really fighting to keep up. And if it can get back above 16,000, then maybe that was a false dip, so to speak. Other than that, I think we could see it being range bound here between 16,000 and 15,750 here, at least for a couple of days, maybe until some numbers can push it out of this range there. The Amsterdam index actually closed below the support at 768, but now back above. We are still above the cloud, so it's technically we are still in a bullish sentiment and trend, and the RSI is still also bullish. Belgium markets still bullish, bouncing a little bit after its correction. I think it will try to move higher here the next couple of days and try to close the gap up to 3760. We have CAC40 still managed to close yesterday above the 72.51 and bouncing back above the cloud, so it's technically still okay. It hasn't confirmed downtrend or anything, so but I think we could see it being range bound here for the next couple of days. If it closes above the gap area, which means the closing above 74.06, then we are back in bullish territory. I will throw in to the mix the Swiss markets, quite weak, below the cloud, trading around the 61.8, bouncing a little bit today. Technically, it's in an uptrend, but it's really undecisive at the moment. So it can't really make up its mind. It is below the rising trend lines. We have the 200 moving up, the 100 moving up, but the 55 down. So I think it's caught a little bit in crosswinds. Moving on to FX markets. We have euro-dollar, which is bouncing once again after testing the 109.30 area. Let's just move it a little bit so you can see it easily. So the 786 retracement once again bouncing off the 100 and the 55 moving average, and I do believe we will see it moving higher next couple of days, especially if it takes out the 4th of August, the peak here, then we can see a move up to 111.50 resistance area. Dollar index once again tried to get back above the 786 retracement and above the cloud, but it has failed. It's being sent down, and I think it will be sent down here the next couple of days, especially if it takes out on the way down 101.55. That's the key level to look out for there. Cable hovering around this rising trend line here, and often I mean we see this a lot. Either it's breaking flat through and just moving away from a trend line when it breaks, but this time it seems like it's hugging it from either side, moving around it, and the RSI also broken above its falling trend line. Is still in bullish mode. I think we'll see it try to move higher here the next couple of days towards 129. There will be a little bit of resistance around that level there, but it's fairly strong bounce. Dollar yen tried yesterday, once again 143.40, and I think we'll see another attempt higher, but we need a close above, and especially if it takes out the 143.88 and a change, then we are on the way to 145 and higher on that front. Euro yen. Euro yen. Another attempt at the 158 I would expect here the next couple of days, possibly today. It's back above, currently back above the falling trend line. If we get back above 60 threshold on the RSI, we will have another attempt, possibly, quite possibly, a successful one this time. And if it does break above, close above, then we are looking at 160, but quite likely higher. This morning I will throw in the mix EURNOK, hovering around the 1120 level, so not really much of a direction there, other than you can say it's a range trading just above the 200 and below this neckline here. So the head shoulder pattern is still in play, with potential down to 1080. If it breaks back above 1140, 41, then I will consider it being demolished. EURUSD is actually much more interesting, testing the 61.8 retracement at 1174 here several times. Can't really get above it, but if we get a close above it and above the cloud, we have been close above the cloud, so we are still in a bullish mode. Then we could see a move towards previous peaks just below 12, possibly also taking out 12. That will be interesting here in the next couple of days. And if we can get back above the 60 on the RSI. On the commodity side, we have gold spot, which is hovering around, jumping around the 61.8 retracement at 1929. Then it's down, then it's back above, then it's back above the cloud. We still have our RSI in bullish sentiment. So technically we are in a bullish sentiment, but it is struggling a little bit at the moment. We are below the 121 and the 55 moving average, which are all declining at the moment. But 200 will provide some support. We could see it being range bound here the next week or so, unless that there's really something comes in moves it in a violent direction. For now, I still consider it being correction. The silver spot, on the other hand, took out the 2310 support. Next support is 2215, around that level, quite strong level. We could see it being tested. We have our RSI below 40, so we are in a bearish sentiment. So it will take a little bit of struggle to get back above, but there's no doubt there are some out there that will try to lift it back above the 200 moving average. It will be a little bit of struggle, so that's something to keep an eye on. If they manage to push it back above, then maybe this downtrend is being cut short. Copper got hammered yesterday, but bouncing back today at 382. Can it get back above 382? The interesting thing here is that the RSI is still in positive mode or sentiment. If it can get back above 382, it's also back above the cloud. Maybe it can even crawl back above this rising trend line here. Then it could just have been a false break, really. But if it becomes weaker again, sliding lower, then we are looking at support at 370, possibly down to 360, 356. So keep an eye on this 382 level there. Finally, on Brent oil, trying to move towards the resistance at 87, 88. It is a little bit of a struggle. We have RSI being flatlined more or less, but we are in a bullish sentiment, so we could see it trying to move out. I think it will be rejected, and we could see it being range bound between 83 and 88 for quite some time, possibly dipping down to test the 200 moving average. But other than that, I think we will be range bound in that range there. more or less identical on the WTI 8350 key resistance, a close above. Well, then the entire bearish trend, sideways trend here on the weekly chart has been reversed. And we are in a bullish mode, but I think we will see a little bit of also a sideways trading there, really. Finally, on the US treasuries, US yields, we have the US 10-year yields retracing a little bit after being very close to the strong resistance at 421, 422 level. Bit of correction. I could see it down to around 390 versus the 61.8 retracement level before possibly picking up again. What is quite interesting, it's really hard to say, but actually there is divergence on the RSI, meaning this peak here is lower than the other one. So the uptrend is a little bit weakening at the moment. So, but keep an eye on 390, what's going on there. All right, thank you very much for today. I'll talk to you again tomorrow.